Yeah, we got a lot of them, and they're interesting. I remember a time, yeah. Okay, we're on Wednesday evening, folks. We're with you once again. I am G. Michael Reed. I am your guide through the program of events. We are guided by the Robert's Rule of Order. We try to do some fruitful discussion, civil debate, constructive argument, and an exchange word enduring. We really appreciate those of you who log on. If you have any input, we encourage you to type in or leave comment. Here's George in the house, joined by our two of our constant
Good night, gentlemen.
members. Much valued, George Jokowi. Good morning, good night. Tonight is special. We got a special guest, Mr. Andrew Ordonis, cycling enthusiast. He has been billed by CY, but he's more than that. Andrew is a man who keeps everybody pedals turning. He do, in fact, Andrew, or the kids in the neighborhood were telling me that every time they need at least something done, they run by you, and that you always help them out, and we appreciate that. Because Andrew is a neighborhood guy, actually. He's two streets over now, Andrew.
Yeah, three.
You're on what street?
Pelican.
Pelican, all right. We're on Gibnut, and then you have Antelope, Iguana, and then you, right?
Right, exactly.
Wonderful. All right, guys, anytime you're ready for jump in. Andrew, what role do you play in cycling now? You're not the president yet, or again?
I don't think that's what I want. My role right now is commentating on the race. So I go with a camera, a phone, and a motorcycle, and I cover the entire race and bring it live into people's living room.
All right, your mic somehow when it get only we not hear you clearly. Where of course people you might or might not know this that Joe Coe was once a president of cycling. I was reminded of that earlier, and that's interesting. So cycling is up his alley too. We can't they pull no kind of stunt by here and come with any information I'm gonna correct as it might correct way. George, were you ever involved in cycling or except for occasional ride? George, you know to hear me? We know to hear you. All right. George, my bit. Turn on your mic for me, George. If I make the, I'll check something. I don't know if you hear me. Give me a nod with your head if you hear me or not. I hear you first when you came on, so something went there. No, we're not hear you. I still lips to mute. Andrew, this Saturday.
You hear me?
I hear you. Hear you. You hear me clear, right?
Clear, loud and clear.
All right, let me welcome Gregory Morrison, our other panelist. Gregory lives in the US of A. He's our diaspora connection, if you will. So Gregory, can you hear me? Gregory, well, you to hear me. Joe, you to hear me, right?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
I don't think I'm the problem. My bit, I don't hear you, nor Gregory. Hello, Gregory. Greg.
It's buffering badly. I don't know if that
BTL check on my flag efforts. Sabotage. You did there?
Or Google, but it's buffering badly.
Yeah. All right. Are you hearing us though?
Well,
yeah.
On and off.
George, you might have to log off and come back
Yeah,
on.
exactly, George. Log off and then come back on,
Come back on. Andrew, proceeding with this. This Saturday, of course, is arguably one of the biggest sporting events in the country. Cycling has been on for, I believe, in 1928. It started.
1928, Elston Kerr.
And it has remained consistent. What is the pulse right now of cycling as you get it? Is it alive and well, or is he see a drop off? Has it gotten better? Which one?
Well, after the COVID situation and cyclists return on the highway, because of technology, we are able to live stream races, and so people get it straight into their homes, and they just go put it on a big screen TV, and so they are in tune. There's thousands of people in the US who call me every day and thank me for my coverage of the races and the excitement I put into the race so they can enjoy the race. So it is on its way up. The cycling is definitely on its way back to its glory days.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in the US look forward now to the cross country, which that one is usually televised. Are you going to be playing any part in that this year? Will you be announcing?
Yes, I will be covering the race on the CFB with this Cycling Federation of Belize Facebook page. So everybody could. It's a public page, so you could tune in. I'll be out there from about 5 o'clock, spending over 6 hours, and the mic just bringing action into your living room.
So you just type in Cycling Federation.
Yes, Cycling Federation Facebook page. I think it's a public page, so just go and like the page and you could tune in.
Wonderful. I understand we're having a usual influx of foreign riders coming in this year, and a nice amount. How does that go?
Yeah, what happened? They allow some of the teams to bring two. I think like Guatemalans will bring 3 riders, and any other team that they come in will have 3 riders per team. They have about 28 riders that are supposed to come, but not all of them will make it, so maybe like half that. So probably around 18 foreign riders should be here, and the Williams brothers will be here. Young Chavarria just returned back to the country, and I started to brought 2 teammates with him. So there will be a lot of fireworks on the tarmac. I mean, I'm asking people don't leave their TV, make sure they get all the stuff together, because there was some serious fireworks. I have some phrases I used, like kept it like tickles, fireworks on the tarmac, blown up the smithereens. Those are the terms that we use, and we use as the excitement unfolds. We want to thank the BTD and the Minister of Sport, Anton Mala. They are giving a first place prize of $10,000, and I think $1,000 prize, and a whole heap of prize will be given by other individuals as soon as the prizes come out. The station prizes are whole station prizes, so it will add excitement to the race, because the riders are going to add up what they can win. So they will win, whoever win or take some station prize will definitely go home with their pockets full.
Interesting. Joe, that's a far cry from when you were president. Was the government so involved? Were they giving that kind of money for prizes and things?
No, the government was not really involved in the cross country or in any of the events that we had at the time, except to make the infrastructure available, like the Marianne Jones, what is now the Marianne Jones, the truck, and they helped us with the night lights when we were running night races. So to the extent of providing us with the infrastructure at the stadium, the government wasn't involved otherwise in giving it. We never really had to depend on them, quite frankly. We were more with the private sector.
Interesting. Gregory, are you hearing us now? Are you on?
Yes. Good evening.
Wonderful.
Good evening.
I hear you loud and clear. Good evening. Welcome. George? George. He's sitting there like when Trump heard his
indictment.
When the charges were read, it sounded like somebody just read your 34 charges.
But I wanted to ask you, Joe, what is the problem for win? Probability. Please, and we know that it's all good when we have foreign competition, especially. But whenever I've done the whole Easter season for Belize, some Belizeans, at least for a day or two. So probability this year, Andrew, that a Belizean could win.
Well, to be honest, our guys have been training very hard, and Once you enter a race, you enter a race
So,
to
Chairman,
win.
another
My advice to our Belizean team, you have to have a designated leader that you surround, that you take care of, like how the bees take care of the queen bees. Well, the teams, the local teams will definitely have to decide who are their leaders. They will back water for them, carry their food, give them a spare bike if they have a flat. So you have to be certain that, okay, I'm riding for my leader, and some of the riders won't finish because the amount of energy they will expend out there, they won't able to complete the race, so they will have to ride for their leader, and that's the only way I see a Belizean can win. Other than that, they will be blown to smithereens, especially with the foreign competition, and especially I mentioned about the prizes that they have been given. It's huge prizes, and so these guys will ride their hearts out. What I must say that some of these guys that will come are guys that when they leave the country, they do meet in regional games, like some of the guys that will be coming when they go to Panama in a few weeks or a month or so. These are the same guys. So we have to step up to the level of the competition. So we can't sit back here, like Palas would say, backyard cycling. You have to step up to the plate and make sure that you are ready.
Do they still have like designated domestic riders who do that? Just do the hard work and then select somebody that they figure can win and work for them?
Well, that's the way it should work, but some of the teams, cross country, because it has such a rich history, and back in my time when I used to ride, and the older guys, everybody wants to finish, and they're not really on team strategy per se, but no, you have to give your all for your team if you want to be victorious. These days, it's not a one-man army. It's not one person can win. So, like Palas always say on the show that, they kiss their girlfriend or their family and say, well, I'm going to win, but it's not like that. You have to be real. It's modern time, and if you watch all the professional races, the Tour de France, the Giro d'Italia, they have their designated leader that they take care of. So that's the way to go. You have to ride for your leader, and that's the only way I see a Belizean, and we only have a few Belizeans that can win. That's the reality. So most of the guys will be domestic that day.
Well, for a long time, we've heard the talk of a national team. How far away from that are we? Is there any possibility maybe one day Belize can field a national team where all our riders ride together to ensure that we do a good show? And is the one more question, is the local field, do you think, well enough represented to bring in the victory for Belize?
So the answer the first question, when it comes to national team, what we'll find that most of the team, they would have to let go their best rider, and the local teams won't do that. So a team from a rider from Westrap, then you'll have to get a rider from M&M's, you'll have to get a rider from Valvoline, from G-Flow, and sponsors won't stand for that because they put their money into these guys, and so they prefer to keep their top gun and their local team. So national teams is like when they leave the country, they gather some of the best riders from each club, and so they would go on a national team. But we in Belize don't have a national team per se. And answering the second question, to be real, it's only a handful of guys that are really prepared to take on this what we call it, this man race. I call it a man race. It's a grueling 144 miles, and especially you hear the breeze early in the morning. I mean, right now the breeze is severe. The guys they come and they cry at the shop and they say, man, we hope that this wind die down by Saturday, because they will scatter like skittles if they don't if the wind doesn't drop, because the pain and suffering they will take out there in this 140 plus miles trek will be no easy rollover. So definitely a tough event coming up weekend.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, hello?
No. Yeah, you're here?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
You guys can jump in. I don't want to seem to be dominating the topic here. Because certainly I got enough questions for us, but I want everybody to be involved, no?
Well, what I would like to do quickly, gentlemen, is to give you more what I would call a historical perspective of cycling, meaning where we were in the 80s when I got first involved and how we come to where we are. I think that Dennis Barrow, a great writer, wrote an article, The Revolution of Cycling. And he thought that the period of the 80s was when cycling was revolutionized in the country. Now, I say this because I did come with an idea as the president that for us to become successful and move beyond the cross country, no doubt the cross country was the number one sport when it comes to participation of the public. It was the number one in the country and it still is. But we realized that cycling was limited to Belize mostly. Our cyclists, to develop the talents that they had, we had to become competitive. It was the competition that would breed the efficiency for the country, to bring our cyclists to compete abroad. So what we set out to do, we felt that we want Belize to become a venue for international cycling. And we were almost on this page of Sport Illustrated because we went out to meet especially the hospitality industry. And we asked them to support the idea that we will take the cross country and we'll open it up. The cross country was to be just what I would call the catalyst to bring international cycling to Belize. Belize was to become a venue for international cycling. That's what we wanted. But the only way we could begin the move was to use the cross country as the catalyst. Once we had become an international venue for cycling, cross country would go back to being just a national event. That was the plan we had. So when we decided that we're going in that direction, we knew that we had to open the cross country. And that became very controversial because the Belizean people had it difficult to accept that a foreigner would come and win the cross country and take away the garland. The truth about it, the first opening, 20-odd cyclists came into the track. And we had good riders. Unfortunately, Wadzana, the American, took the jump right inside the truck. And inside that truck, as Andrew would have agreed, you never end a cross country in a truck. But that is the way it was. You do not end a road race in a truck.
Why not?
Because when you're in a truck, the roads are different than when you're on the road. Wadzana could have easily been blocked inside a truck.
But Joe, doesn't it become more of a spectator sport though, where people are able to see the riders at least run a few times around the lap? I mean, what's the difference?
Because what we wanted to do was to take cycling to an international level.
Right.
We don't want it to be simple just for a cross country, but we will keep the cross country as the catalyst. Once Belize become an international venue for cycling, cross country would then go back just as a national event. That was the plan. So for us to do that, obviously we had to use the cross country as the catalyst. And that year, we got tremendous support from the tourist industry. All the hotels were supporting us because they liked the idea of making Belize a venue for international cycling. It would bring tourists.
So then, but then where does ended it in the track go against that plan?
Because when you are doing a road race, an out and back race, as the cross country is, the rules and the road is different from the rules in a track. What you call the velodrome. We never did have a real velodrome, so we were using the track as our velodrome.
But Joe,
traditionally, the tradition was to end it in the track. What we had to do was to break away from some of the tradition if we were to move cycling at an international level. If we didn't want to move it beyond Belize as a national event, then fine, we leave it as it was. But we never wanted to leave just cyclists limited to just riding in Belize. We wanted them to go abroad. That's 22 years prior to the opening of the cross country. The biggest event Belize was going to was in Ciudad del Carmen. And it was 22 years before the 1980s that passed. The only Belizean that ever may win a race outside Belize at that event in Ciudad del Carmen. We could have never won after that. We just couldn't. Because we were not open to the competition we needed.
But we are where we are, Joe. Listen, why can't we have our own unique race? And But all right. You're saying that they shouldn't finish it on the track because it's not done that way internationally. But I can't they do that and then have charge an interest fee like they used to do and make enough money to maybe even boost the prices some of it.
I am not opposed to ending, if they so wish, to end a road race in a track. If that is what Belizeans want for a race, nothing wrong with that. The point is that we were limited, cross country limited the country towards the techniques of cycling, towards the technology, towards the need for good coaching. We were limited. When we decided to open the cross country, we brought to Belize the #1 coach from Poland. That was the coach that coached the American cycling that won the Olympics. Of course, then the East Bloc countries had boycotted the Olympics, but the Americans won the road race.
I hear you, but I don't see any of that. And Andrew, I need to get your input on this, what you think about that. I don't see your argument showing why we cannot. And they ride 144 miles going and coming, a couple laps around the block, just so that people can get a chance to see the end of the race and maybe make a few dollars off of it. I don't see all that you're saying in any way countering that.
What I'm saying, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I am not countering if you want to end a race inside the track. I was saying that for us to move to the level beyond Belize,
You cannot end it in the track.
and to get into actual road races, there's no road race you're ending a track. What you do, you either ride a criterium or a road race. We were somewhat combining from tradition a criterium with a road race. No,
Well-
what I'm getting at is that if you want to keep finishing your race in the track, you will do that after we had moved towards the international event in Belize. Then you can go back and have your cross country ending in the track or anywhere you want to end it. The point is that after we opened the cross country for competition, we wanted competition. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
3 years after, gentlemen, and this is a historical fact. 3 years after we opened the cross country, and the coach that we were bringing from Poland, the coach we brought from the United States, the training of trainers in this country, Belize went back, as I promised them we'll do, and we went back to Ciudad del Carmen 3-4 years after we opened up. Now, the two big races in Ciudad del Carmen, and this is where I will end my part. The three big races, one was the road race, a 50-mile road race on Saturday. Belize, there were 5 finishing prizes and station prizes. Belize took the 5 station prizes, all the station prizes and the first 5 places. Now, the big race is the criterium in Ciudad. That's the big event. The crowd are out there. The whole of southern Mexico today. Now, there were 10 first place prizes and station prizes. Belize took the 10 first place prizes and all the station prizes. Gee, Mike, that was phenomenal. It showed that Belize had talent. We just needed to develop it. You know what was in the newspaper? And I told them, listen, let's get out of here, get the buses and leave. The newspaper came out, and the headline in the newspaper in Spanish, he said the Black Power came, took everything and left nothing. Gee, Mike, we swept it. Belize won everything in Sweden. Then we gone to Los Angeles to the Olympics. Then we gone to South Korea in the Olympics. We went to Barbados. We went to Trinidad. Gee, Mike, we were beating everything in the southern part of Mexico. We ride in Barbados.
You said we went to the Olympics. How did we do there?
Well, evidently, we were not really. And the thing about the Olympics, don't believe that we were to go there to win the Olympics. We were not ready for that. But to give our cyclists the opportunity to expose them to such international events is being as an incentive for us to move up. So to me, we begin to win races.
All right.
When Chagamal, we couldn't even beat Chagamal. Afterwards,
Yeah.
Chagamal never did beat Belize a race again after that.
Andrew, what's your opinion on finishing the race on the track? Is there a possibility we will get back to that at some point, or do you agree with Joe that it should not be done?
Well, with that track that we have, that's a no-no. The cars of these guys' bicycle, that track is too dangerous, it's too narrow, it's not designed for the high speed that these guys are riding. These guys are the level have stepped up, and it would be very dangerous. It could be deadly. But if you especially have a large field of riders coming in that track, it's not designed for finishing a race. So I have to.
Andrew, we just redesigned that stadium. We just built it.
Waste of time. I'll be honest, waste of time.
Well, waste some money then. Waste some money because there's a lot of money that was spent. Why did they not? The track before, I understand, was okay. Why did they not just put the same track back in the same location and make the best of it? What went wrong there? Who somebody gave the wrong advice? Is that it?
You have to blame whosoever was in charge. I mean, we have to be real. They have to get input from cyclists or the president to know what. You just can't go and say, oh, I'm going to instruct you for the guys at this time when I ride on the speed that even the kids when they ride on the truck, you know, design it's too small. It's not safe. Truck have to have banking, you have to be properly designed. So you don't want nobody to get hurt on a truck.
What I wanted to just add is that track design for bicycle racing is different than track design for foot racing.
That's right.
So this track that we have at the Marion Jones is designed for foot racing. And there are lots of differences that would be required to have a bicycle racing track.
But Gregory,
but it's important to notice the track that you ride, bicycle race on, is what you call a velodrome. Cycling is three main races: road race, criterium, and velodrome race. Now, Belize never did get the velodrome, so we were riding on a track that we should not even be riding on.
But there was no problem before. There was no problem riding around that track. I used to go watch them every time.
But it is not designed for that. It's
not designed. It's not
designed.
But then why did we design it for that when we designed the new stadium? We spent a lot of money.
Because it's designed for foot race. It's designed for.
But then why would we design for foot race when we have a cross country that's internationally acclaimed and people come in? But anyway, listen. I think now moot point. So make we Andrew. Do you think we'll get to the point? Have we been considered for entry into the calendar of cycling, the international calendar for cycling? Is the cross country on there, or can we go on there? Is an application we need to file?
It's something we have to work on. If you open that and you get pros, cons, Belize, well, I don't think we're winning cross country again. So if we want to move forward, I think the BTB, the thing about having a major race for international riders. We are considered amateurs. A few of our guys, make it. Oscar Kioso signed a contract with the Miami Blazers. Kaya Katut rides professional with the Elias Wets. And those are two of the riders that made it big time or have reached the rank, but not to the top level. We can't handle the Europeans and these guys. Their average is so high. I mean,
how about the Williams brothers?
We were talking about the local Belizean riders that born and bred here. The Williams brothers, they open the door, as they said, for cycling. I mean, we have to give a big credit to Kaliman Williams and Williams brothers. They had put Belize on the map when it comes to cycling. With the quick races, they won a whole lot of races. I think Justin was named top 7 influential sports person in the world. So that's a really I would say that's a real task to take on, and he's doing awesome.
So he's coming though.
Yes, Justin should be here. Justin and Corey should be here.
I understand they were having some issues with passport and whatnot. Did they work that out?
They worked it out. I think they have dual citizenship. So they represent Belize at the Commonwealth Games just the other day. So they both will come as Belizean riders.
All right. So you well, if you talk about them coming in, and I understand the young boy Chavarri is not riding too badly. then you don't seem though to have much hope that we can do well, even in that way. Are you looking at them in the light of an international rider as opposed to a Belizean rider? Because they are Belizean. The argument has been held.
Yes, yes. Well, young Derek Chavarria, as a matter of fact, is studying in the US, and the reason he's there, he wants to, see if he can get up to the pro career, and he's been doing awesome. As a matter of fact, he just left here a short while ago, just before we went on air. He was here, so we have to give kudos that we are seeing an upward trend that our young riders are elevating to a next level. Let me explain to cycling fans, the average person who goes cycling. It's such a hard sport. We call it a selfish sport because you have to be. It's costly. One thing, it's costly. It's time consuming.
Right.
I mean, it's expensive in the sense that even nutrition, you have to have nutrition, you have to have masseuse. I mean, you have to have a whole range of things that people don't understand. So imagine you drive a car from here to Cayo and back. I mean, just don't have a car and take pay. Imagine you getting on a bike, riding at an average of almost 25 miles an hour, go and come. The guys have to eat, drink, make sure the machine properly in a top shape. When I used to ride, we just do like 7 hours change the record there, under 6 hours, so much time that guys step up. So cycling and all over the world have the level of crazy. It's so crazy. I can't believe that these guys ride that hard.
Do you see a time when we might look at this race as just an international event, something that can bring tourism to Belize, be a part of the whole tourism product, as opposed to we just want a Belizean win or even worry about who wins or not, because the race in itself is a spectacular event.
Right. So let me give you an example. Over the past weekend, they had the Puma women cross country. They had 6 foreigners and 4 Belizean. But when I'm in the live streaming race, and when I watch how many people were tuning in, because all these women and families, they come from the US, from Mexico, from the Caribbean. The girl that won, she's from Bermuda, and they shared with their family, and now they love Belize and they want to come back. But the race was exciting. It wasn't a race between 4 Belizean. The race was on fire. I mean, it garnered a big spectator, and it was great. So hopefully they will do for the same for the male, and we have to stop worrying about Belizean for women. That the Tour de France. I couldn't tell the last time one Frenchman won the Tour de France, and those people the Tour de France generates so much money. It's you can get hotel, you can get flight out there. It's just crazy the amount of money it generates. So it's good for tourism. People will learn your country. And my son have a shop in the US, and he put races on the big screen. When people visit the shop and see the race, and they say, "Where is that?" And he said, "Belize." And he said, "It's a beautiful country. They would like to travel there." And that's the way how it goes. It actually tourism. You bring tourism dollar indeed. So the sport does have good potential for bringing tourists and bringing tourist dollars.
Do we have enough races throughout the year to prepare our riders for this event?
Well, recently there are, you have Mr. Glenn Young constantly. They have raced now the Alfred Parks Memorial family, the Alfred Parks, the nephews and nieces, and they had their first race over this few months. They had the Alfred Parks race where they had huge prizes, and the mileage, it was like 100 miles. Then they had the Belmont Pan race, they had the Valentine's race. So they are having races with a lot of miles. We have a race name as a Wheel Turns, which is about 100 miles also. So there's a lot of races to keep them fit. And we find out that riders definitely raise the level indeed.
Well, it's good that you're giving a perspective outside of the officials of cycling. Is there more that we can do? And I mean, government have some tough jobs that they give out to some of their cronies. Could they maybe pick a few guys that do cycling, give them one of these jobs that they just do some soft thing like run man or something, and give them time to do the training as necessary, maybe fund the nutrition. And as Joe was saying, they brought in coaches and whatnot. Is there more that we can do?
Yes, so basically, most of our riders have a 8 to 5 job. They have wives, they have kids, they have responsibilities. Most of the guys that are full-time riders, that they don't even touch their bike. They don't clean their bike. They don't know to change a wheel. They have their mechanics. They are full-time riders. So we will never, if we don't have, like I say, one national team where the guys they are pampered, yeah, tough to reach that level. It's kind of tough to hear, but that's the harsh reality. When you speak to some of the cyclists and they say they just buy one $3 chicken or $5 chicken for eat, that now put it, you have to have, I say, everything prepared for you. I mean, when our riders go outside and you realize how far we are behind. But check this out. The young lady that won the women cross country, she's from Bermuda. Her name is Caitlin Conyers. She's from Bermuda, which is a small island. I visit there. But she went to Europe to train, but they put in the time. So to be honest, a lot of our riders will have to leave our soil and go maybe to Europe or somewhere where they can put in some serious training, and then we could see, they reach a different level. But it's tough for the average rider. So cross country have a rich history, but like Mr. Howie said, since we start having the foreigners, you can't tell them they can't come again. And what happened, some of the teams look for riders that are right below professional level. So the level of cycling have definitely raised, and so our regular cyclists will never ever make it. They will just be participants. That's it. That's the harsh reality.
Yeah, Joe, you're going to tell me a story about one of the McGill brothers. We know the McGill brothers were a big part of the history of cycling, and I knew all of them actually. Who would you say was your, down the line, the best cyclists that Belize has produced so far?
I cannot say from my time I spent in cycling, and it's about 10 years I spent in cycling, beginning as the treasurer for cycling. I believe that cyclists at the time, Mogil was among them. And I think all of them that was showing up in the cross country from the beginning with Elson Carr, I think they did show that Belize had talent, because cycling, road race is one of the most, it requires the most endurance sport in the world. It is. Cycling is one of the most endurance sport in the world.
Grueling indeed.
So every one of them that won across country, and especially those who repeated it, they were all great cyclists. There's a very important point, gentlemen, that I would wish to leave at least this topic to. We still have failed to grasp perhaps what I was saying in the period of the catalyst, with the people who were then around cycling. We were never in favor of taking cross country and make it into an international event. No, that's the point we are missing. We wanted Belize to become a venue for international cycling. Cross country was to be the catalyst. It was to be there for a short period because we had nothing else to motivate the business community to support our cyclists except the cross country. So we were already on the test of Sports Illustrated. We were moving towards making it a venue for international cycling. Then cross country was to go back to exclusively a national event to keep it the tradition. But then we have had international meet in Belize.
I hear you say that, but where would they ride? Because as it is for cross country, we have to lock off the highway. It's not easy to have races like that. What would be the venue?
The venue will be the same distance. You finish race, 144 miles.
Right.
There was a race we used to ride, the Coruscant race. That was 178 miles. We were
the creme race not still go there and come back?
No, just one way. We were advised at the time that our riders, for being amateurs, were riding too far. That cross country, that 144 miles, is a very long race by international standards. Apart from, of course, these 5-6 days races. No? So I am saying that the point that we are missing because we didn't continue where we had left off. We were to move by now. Cross country should have gone back to cross country. And Belize should have had an international meet every year where we bring from across the globe. That was the idea. Belize is well suited. That distance you ride from here to Cayo to San Ignacio and back is very good for a road race. The distance is good, but you wouldn't be finishing it in a truck, of course, because you can't mix a road race with a criterium. I mean, with a.
Why not? Why not? Really, why not?
It's against cycling rules.
Serious? Is there such a rule, Andrew, that you know of?
Mr. Coppin, my phone is dead and I tried charging it back, my phone is died. But ask me, Mr. Coppin.
I understand.
He's saying that it's against cycling rules to finish a cross country in a track.
Because there are two different races. You have road races.
But is there such a rule? Is there some kind of law against it as such? I don't see the point in it.
The law that is against it has to do with the law of biology and how humans operate. For example, you ride in a velodrome. So you don't ride in a velodrome and then you come out of the velodrome and go and ride a road race. You don't ride a road race and then you get into a criterium. No, you ride a road race, or you ride a criterium, or you ride in a velodrome, which you call a track race. So you combine them. It's like saying, boy, listen, if you want to go on triathlon, that's different. But this is not a triathlon. This is cycling. And cycling have three main events in cycling. There are only three main events: road races, the velodrome, which we call the track race, and the criterium. Those are the three races that they have developed in the world for cycling.
Let me try to get sense out of what you're saying, that we were to be a venue for international cycling and go back to the cross country. You believe that the cross country should be strictly a Belizean ridden race? Is that it?
Yes, because we believe that there was a tradition to cross country and we wanted to preserve the tradition. We wanted it to be indeed a national event, exclusively national. But the only way we could have transition, hopefully, to international meet in the country was to use the cross country as the catalyst, because that was the only thing we had to encourage Belizeans, especially you see, we started the clubs, gentlemen. We started clubs. That's the first time we started clubs in the country. And the people who had the money were the people who were financing the clubs. So we had to show them that, listen, if you finance this thing out of your enlightened selfishness, you can benefit. And they begin to support us. They were supporting cycling. A lot of money went into cycling from the private sector. We didn't need government because we showed them a way how, if we can get that international meet in Belize, what it will bring to this country, a lot of tourists would come. You see, Belize is well located. It's well located. It has the terrain. We are not like the Tour de France. We don't have such mountainous climb, but we have some nice climbs. So we had a lot of things that would bring tourists to Belize for the international meet. Then after that, cross country goes back and remain the tradition as we have known it for the 70 years.
Do you object to foreigners riding in the cross country, Joe?
You see, here lies a contradiction, because I am saying that if you bring cross country, if you had started the international meet with the cross country as the catalyst, you would have had cross country today as an exclusively national event. So no foreigners will be riding in the cross country, because we already have the international cycling. That is where foreigners come and ride.
You're saying we should have another race for international riders and one race for the Belizean riders alone?
Right. We want to preserve cross country as a national event, but we needed it to jumpstart us towards making Belize an international venue. And what would have helped us, Steve, is that you need that competition to breed the efficiency in our riders. Our riders couldn't go abroad to gain competition. We were competing just among ourselves.
But isn't that what the cross country now is doing with the inclusion of the foreign riders, is to have them pick up the level of their...
That's right. And that is what we wanted. We wanted competition. But we wanted to have cross-country to remain the tradition that we had founded. But we needed it just as the catalyst, and that's the point I'm trying to get over. It was not to kill it. And so we are no longer going to have cross-country as a national event.
I hear you making the point, Joe, but cycling doesn't need a catalyst. If you're going to do an international event, do an international event, but the cross-country, and it's not destroying the tradition by having international riders partake, is it? I mean, it's still a cross-country, it's still the same distance. So
I think probably the sponsorship and setting up the whole organizational structure for a international race was going to cost a lot of money, and so probably that's why they moved over to using cross country temporarily.
That's right. Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking.
And you think maybe then, Gregory, they should go back to the cross country as a national event and then use that as the catalyst that Joe is saying?
Well, they are using it, but I'm thinking that if someone will come up with $5 million and start setting up that type of organization to have an international event, you know, then it could stand on itself and start out on its own.
That's right.
But right now the cross country is what's being used. Since everybody knows about that, it already have the clique of riders and the sponsorship. That's why I'm thinking it's set up that way.
Yeah, I want to just, sorry to interrupt, but it's very important that we understand this. The Belize as the international venue for cycling was a business proposition. It was not just sport. It was business we were looking for.
Right.
But at the same time, we wanted business for the country, but we wanted to develop the talents in our cyclists to make them internationally competitive, that one day they could be riding in Tour de France.
Aren't we doing that right now, though, with just the inclusion of the foreign riders? Isn't that helping them to improve their product?
What I am seeing, gentlemen, from my experience there, both at the national and international levels, because I spent a lot of time with the international grouping in cycling, is that Belize, and I'm not wanting to be sounding too critical, is that we have gone somewhere back way in terms of cycling in the country. First, we had developed what you call the cycle for cycling. We had a problem in developing a cycle for cycling because of the timing of the cross country. Internationally, they all have cycle for cycling. So we set up a calendar that you had what you call the resting period. You had what you call the training period. Then you had the competition period. And we had a calendar that way in advance, everybody knew all the races that will be ridden for the period. So we had the cycle for cycling. We were getting international support from the International Union for Cycling. We were getting support from the US Cycling Association. So we were getting a lot of international support. We were getting support from Sports Illustrated.
What stopped that, though? What discouraged that?
Gentlemen, and they have to be careful because I may be accused of using my hubris recklessly. What stopped it is the same thing that stopped our development of our country. In other words, ideas come. They were good ideas. They were tested. They were proven that they work in other countries. For some reason, when it reaches Belize, we lack the courage and the boldness to do what is the right thing to do. So what happened? A controversy started within the association by one or two of our own members, who in the end had to back off because
let us continue this because we want to get as much from Andrew as we can while we get on here.
Sorry,
Andrew, go ahead.
My phone is almost my phone is dead, so you might have to get me back and see how about get back some power quick. So I might go off for a shortly because my phone they only have, I can't just say gone dead for me. I only have like 1%.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you might have to do you don't go on laptop, right? So next time you better
I have a next phone.
Where would I want to do?
A link to that one there.
Where I want to do, Andrew, that we could invite you back on for a recap next week, Wednesday. Because we're here every Wednesday, of course, at 8 o'clock, right? folks, right on the screen, you can see that we're available on YouTube at BELIZTICS Recordings. You log on YouTube. We get it real time. So, and of course, it's on CY's page, and more often than not, tagged on each of our Facebook pages, so everybody could log on to one of the pages and see what's happening. We got 10 minutes to go, Andrew, and then we're taking a break and going to the next segment of the show. But while we have you on here, and while your phone is hold out, what are some things we can look for in this coming cross country race? I believe the phone gone. Yeah, unfortunately.
All right. Chairman.
Yeah.
I have logged back on with my phone.
And your sound much better.
I have logged back on my phone.
Wonderful.
And I'll just make these comments, 2 comments, but we can carry this on next week when Andrew comes on. But essentially, to the point that Joe was making, that the Belize race has a certain tradition and it should be kept sort of exclusively for Belizeans. I have a divergent view from that. And my views is that the Belize cross country, keeping in mind that Joe did mention that it went to Corozal at some point, etc., etc. The Belize cross country, Belize Cayo especially, but the entirety of the race since 1928, I think has gone through natural evolution. It has gone through a period where it started with locals and it grew in popularity, and a part of that popularity attracted foreign riders. If Belize was a destination where you can use the cross country to sort of as a prep to a broader international event, then perhaps I would agree with Joe that yes, we should keep it for Belizean. But there are only 2 races that I know of in Belize that you would have regularly that would attract foreign riders that are distance races. And these are the Creme Country, New Year's Day Classic, and obviously the cross country. So I think that unless and until we reach another level where there might be a race that accommodates foreigners in mass, then I believe that the cross country is the vehicle to go with. My view is that the cross country, as it now stands, is a fertile ground to test our riders, obviously, against foreign talent. And I'm saying that on the proviso that we have amateurs riding against amateurs. It's not that the Belizean cyclists are disadvantaged in that they are riding, quote unquote, against professionals, although that argument has come up from time to time. But I think that if we have ridden against professionals in the past, and that we are likely to in the future, then that's a part of the institutional failure. I think that once we have said that it's amateur, then it should be amateurs and professionals should be filtered out. If you look at it from a cost-benefit standpoint, I think that there's more to be gained by having international participation. I have to let fly the fact that I live on the Western Highway, and part of the thing that I see, especially given that I spoke to Kenrick Halliday, who I know on a kind of first-hand basis about 2 years ago, and a part of the conversation did not, thus far, not that I heard, included dedication. I had posed the question to Kenrick, why is it that back in your days, our people used to hold their own, but now if you look at the last 10, 15 years, the majority of the races are won by foreigners. And Kenrick did not go into much of an academic spiel, as much as to say, them boy are not serious, George. One of them asked me to train him, and essentially I told him that you need to be on the road 2, 3 o'clock, and be back in town by a certain time. Kenrick said that the man looked at him and said, "You crazy? I don't know how to ask." And so what I'm saying is that the dedication factor might not be there to the extent that it was in the past. And this is not only in relation to cycling,
Correct.
but I also see it in relation to bodybuilding. I am an official in the Bodybuilding Federation, and I will tell you that the reigning champion Belize for the last 3 or 4 years is not a born Belizean. He's actually a Grenadian that is nationalized, or naturalized, I guess is the word. But this is a man that is dedicated, he puts in the work, and you see the results. He has not only won here in Belize, but he has won regionally / internationally. And so for me, the issue that Andrew brought up, that, well, they might have to go chop my sheet and then do their regular work. Hey, hello, that has been going on since, that's as well as the hills. And to me, given the fact that when you look at it in terms of the amount of wins that foreigners get versus Belizeans, I think that we have regressed. The output and results have shown that cycling in Belize has regressed. And basically what you want is for somebody, including the Cycling Federation, to do an analysis, and you can call it where I want to call it a problem analysis. Find out what it is in very, very concise and academic and practical terms. Why is it that we have fallen behind? And then you use that to inform a strategic plan going forward as to how, when, and where we could get back to the glory days of Holiday and Hutchinson, etc., who used to beat Calderon as some bad dude from Mexico and Guatemala and the United States.
Can I add something? Could I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think what's missing is that the race has changed. We talked about how the time has collapsed in how long it takes the race to be run these days. But also what has happened is the team arrangement that has been happening. And these people, when they come from international, they form a team. They come as a team. They have a leader that they are supporting for this race to win. Not every rider in that comes from Guatemala or Mexico or the United States is expected to win the race. And that's what we have not developed in Belize. Every person that's riding the race from Belize wants to win the race, see themselves as a potential. And that's where the burnout is. That's where the failure is to be able to win, to organize and win in that manner. That's what I see.
I don't know though, Greg, because these teams do have what they call domestique riders who ride for the elite. They have the elite rider who somebody that can win. Most time, even I remember Santi bringing in some riders from abroad, and that would work the workhorse, if you will. They did the pacing and whatnot. We see the Williams brothers 1 year when one won. The next one was the one that did all the work and put in all the work, and the other guy rode on his tail until he took over. No, so I don't. My question is when you talk about regressing, George. Because have they regressed personally or as groups, as a whole? I know that at least on a whole in Belize are not dedicated, they're not disciplined. We see it in football, we see it in everything. But aren't there specific riders that have stepped up their game, so to speak?
Well, I believe that the issue of team sport, of cycling being a team sport, has now become well entrenched, and to the point that that Mr. Morrison made. It's not the individual, Tony Hutchinson and Kenrick, etc. But if it has evolved into a team, and definitely, the Smiling Brothers, etc., and Santino, it's really, I believe that the majority of Belizean riders that are there, and I could be wrong, but this is something that Andrew could put us right with, are riding for a team, and it's purpose driven. It's not everybody on the team that has been identified as the person that will win, because teamwork means that there's some strategy to get the best man in terms of sprinting, etc.,
Right.
to the final take. So I don't know that the lack of understanding the importance of team is indeed one of the impediments. I believe that, and again, I believe that the work needs to be put in either from Georgeville along the Western Highway. And I'll tell you this, that we know from Georgeville when cross country East Amide close, because you will see some of the old riders, Chamba Dominguez, Glenn Gordon, and some of the other guys from Belize City. You would see them going into Cayo. They will begin doing the run trip to Cayo by the time January and February come. And I don't have reasons to believe that that is still happening. So again, I'm saying that there are a range of variables that will get you to the championship, to grasp the garland. But I think one of the main things is dedication. There's always structures and the support that is needed, but I think that the cyclists themselves have to be dedicated.
I remember them having races that gradually build up to the cross country. Like one race would be from, I think it started like Valentine's Day, where they go from Belmopan to Cayo to Belize. Then they go a little further from closer to Belize to Cayo, back to Belize, leading up to the cross country. I thought it was a good plan, and apparently either it's discontinued or it's not working as well as it used to. So,
well, Mr. Chair, I think that leadership is an important thing. You know, Santino, in my view, is one of the forcing functions. He's one of the better leaders in cycling. I think when Santino was involved, there was a fair amount of races, both long distance, and there was a lot of races around the city, etc. But I think that as Santino kind of retreated from the leadership, the executive leadership, I think that cycling has kind of retreated, certainly in terms of the frequency of racing, both domestic and foreign, because a fair amount of the riders from here in Belize that participated in those local races also went over to Mexico, that seemed to have a fairly well-established tradition of racing that our guys participated in. So leadership is very, very important. When I hear Andrew talking about, well, no, our riders have to, the other countries seem to have left us in terms of support for riders. This is something that we need to as a challenge. I don't like using the problem, because when you say problem, it sounds like you're not going to solution. But this has to be one of the challenges that you recognize. And if there's a challenge, it's just like in engineering, you know. For every engineering problem there's a solution. And so once we have identified accurately what the problems are, then we should be able to come up with the solutions of what those problems are.
Unfortunately, George, it's a reflection of how things are on a whole, in particular with our young people, and the comment has been made over and over again. Belizeans have loads of talent, but no discipline. And I think that's the bottom line. We're a little past 8 o'clock. We're supposed to be joined by Miss Sandra McKay. I don't know if she's going to log on, but
I'm here.
Hi, Sandra. See, why are you there?
I'm here.
All right, so Sandra, we could go right into that, and I think we have to take on break. See, I was going to put up the flyer on the screen for us, but
yes.
It's there we go.
That's it.
And cue. Sandra, tell us a bit about the show and about Junkanoo Productions all along, because you've been out there, you've been doing things.
Yes, yes.
Your only history.
Well, thank you so much, G. Michael, for having us on the show. I say us because I'm representing Junkanoo Productions tonight. Thank you, Mr. Cowie. Thank you, Mr. George and all who are a part of this wonderful show.
Gregory, yeah.
Gregory, yes, thank you so much. We welcome the opportunity to share what's going to happen next week, which is our newest play. It's a stage play that will happen at the Bliss. Jankuno Production started in 2018, before I tell you more about Bellytopia. And Jankuno Productions had promised Belize one stage performance per quarter. And having launched Belize Rewind in November of 2018, each quarter thereafter, we were on target delivering a new stage play each quarter until COVID hit.
Oh, yeah.
When COVID hit, we were forced to take a break because we couldn't meet in large numbers. But we were back last year with Oliver. We brought Oliver from Jamaica to get Jankuno started again.
Okay,
He
Oliver.
did
Yes.
guilty with explanation, Oliver Samuels, Oliver You're Large. So now we are very happy to be delivering a local play written by Julian Ellis Bradley, who is my fellow co-founder of Jankuno Productions, and having promised good, clean family fun, this new play called Bellytopia. And speaking to Belize in the future Belize in the year 2050, was written and directed by Julian. It is a play for the whole family. It is a comedy, and I know we all need to laugh, as serious as life is. And so we are ensuring we bring something that offers a stress release, while at the same time offering quality entertainment to the Belizean public. So it is a play that navigates through serious issues, but we always bring it with the comedy, which makes it palatable. It's an interactive journey through time with a lot of great actors, a story of how a family navigates through the way it used to be versus the year 2050, how it's going to be. So Bellytopia really takes the serious issues we're facing and
Big
look
light
at
of them.
ideally how we can, intentionally take steps to make Belize a better place. And we take the audience through a ride where the possibilities of a society without flaws. Can you imagine? A society without flaws can be made a reality. Imagine the comedy that will happen in that endeavor. All right. So in the year 2050, everything is fixed, yet all is not as it should be. So you have to really come out and enjoy the storyline. So
Well, we
Belize,
look,
go ahead.
we look forward to that. But what do you see up ahead for Jankuno? More productions come in, and
Absolutely. So
Okay.
having done this in April, which is next, let me just go ahead and say this one will be next
Yes.
week, Friday and Saturday, April 14th and 15th at the Bliss, 7:30 p.m. And tickets are available every day. Like even tomorrow, we're going to be there from 9 till 5, although some people are leaving the city. For those who want to make their way over, the ticket booth will be open 9 till 5. During the weekend, you can call 610-4282 and get your tickets, or the number on the flyer, 654-8660. And you can get the ticket organized over the holiday weekend. And on the business days next week, we're back in the Bliss. So really, it promises to be a whole lot of fun, instill a sense of national pride as we look at how we can make Belize a better place. But what's coming up? We already have July booked at the Bliss for our next production, which I won't give the name of yet, but suffice to tell the Belizean public, we have a production already ready for July. Remember, we promised a performance per quarter, live theater performance. And then we're looking at October, which we have already booked for the third production for 2023. So that's a little bit about what we'll be doing in 2023. However, there might be more. So Jankuno Productions is not sitting still. One of the things we did in the years before COVID was to offer theater workshops and, help people who want to grow in that area. We're looking at getting into the schools and doing live lit. We take the literature book and make it a live stage performance so the children can learn both from the reading, yes, but also from seeing it performed live on stage. And those are the things that Jankuno Productions is looking at as we speak.
For those of us who missed Oliver the last time, and I must confess I missed him, are you planning maybe on bringing him back sometime in the future?
Absolutely. See, I will let the cat out the bag, but yeah, one of the performances for 2023 will be Oliver and the Belizeans on stage.
Wonderful. That sounds
So we
good.
have that to look forward to as well from Jankono Productions. So we're staying busy because we made a promise to Belize, and we have every intention of fulfilling that promise to bring quality theater 4 times per year, which is quite a feat.
And you're working towards grooming some of the younger.
And we're grooming young persons to come up, and that's a big part of our thrust as well, because we want the appetite for theater and the appreciation for the performing arts to truly increase and take its place in the Belizean community. It's very alive and well in places like Jamaica and Barbados, and we see no reason why it shouldn't be the same here. So we're trying to get younger ones involved. Sometimes they start backstage and cameo roles, but we get them in the shows so that they get a taste of it. And I can tell you, even in showing the Belize Rewind to the schools, the children love the theater, and they are increasing in their appreciation for it. So we got to keep it going so that it continues well beyond, our time here.
Well, we know your shows are well attended, so we want to encourage people to get their tickets early. Give it a number again, 610.
610-4282 or 654-8660, or come to the Bliss. Every business day will be open up until showtime, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Bliss ticket booth.
Are
So
there any
call or visit.
Any other outlets where they can pick up tickets? Anybody else carrying your tickets out there?
No, it's those 2 phone numbers or the Bliss ticket booth, 610-4282. Pardon
If I
me?
see you on the street, I could buy a couple from you, though, right?
Hallelujah.
But
Always
there
ready. How much you want? I have some right now.
Right.
I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to share on your show, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
All of you, to make Belize a better place. We really appreciate you.
You sound like Mrs. McKay is leaving already, Mr. Chairman. Is that
I
it?
don't know. I'm willing to stay.
Giving a chance to interact with her, Mr. Chairman, or this is your
No. Please. We don't want tired out. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, inquiring mind wants to know.
Yes. Sure. What would you want to know?
Yeah, Miss Sandra, with the chairman permission. There's this song, and I don't know what the title of it is, but a part of the lyrics goes, "Video killed the radio star, video killed the radio star." And I'm using that to say that it's a song that, in my view, is kind of saying that as people got more into technology of video and more visual, it's kind of replacing more traditional radio. And what has happened over time, especially when I came up in the 60s and the 70s, most of the popular things that you went to was what we call a theater, which is a cinema. So you're going to Palace and Eden and all the rest. And we didn't know much about, well, there wasn't much activity, as far as I know, in terms of the performing arts. And I'm saying this tongue-in-cheek because I know that we have Miss Althea, etc., that was always a not dance thing. But it seems to me, Miss Sandra, that the theater, the live performances are having a resurgence in Belize. And I wanted you, if I am right, I wanted you to speak to why that is so, if I'm right, in that context, no?
Yeah, it is absolutely so, George. You are quite right. We are very happy to see it, because the very reason for Julian and I starting Jankono Productions was just for that, to make sure that live theater doesn't die, because it has its place. Yes, there are the technological avenues that you can go to. People go to the theater less because you can get on your device and watch a show from anywhere. But there is nothing like live persons in front of you performing, and there's a lot it does for a community, for a society, for a country, in terms of personal development, the sense of confidence it instills in people who can muster the confidence to get on stage and perform, it helps you to take your place in self-actualization. You know, you're able to achieve what you want to achieve in life in a meaningful way because you're confident. You're bold enough to stand in front of a crowd and either sing or is it a theater performance, it's a poem, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That
I wanted to add that
the discipline it takes for the actual theater in the performing arts arena is a lot, because you have to give yourself to time and commitment and loyalty to bring quality to the performance. So it instills a lot of discipline in persons, and therefore, whilst the technology is there and it this diverts, not distracts, it diverts away from live theater. People who have tasted and seen live theater have a true appreciation for what it brings, what it offers, and what it does for a person personally. I myself, my mother, always, rest her soul, always had us on stage as children. And so it gave us a sense of confidence, in standing in front of a crowd, in delivering, whether it is a song, a dance, a poem. And so when it came to being bold to take your place and speak up and be confident to get into ventures and so on, we had that because of that grooming. Now, that may not be the case for a lot of persons, but here is the theater that offers it. And that's why we try to bring the young people in and get them to appreciate it. We have a long way to go.
Yeah,
but
what I was going to add, in some time ago, they had what we used to call the Festival of Arts. And
yes,
it was a program that involved all of the primary schools and secondary schools throughout the country. And I'm wondering if there's something like that you envision in Drancuna production, or what your effort is, if any, in trying to reach out to the schools and the Ministry of Education in that regard.
Absolutely. As we speak, we have spoken to some high schools. Our Belize Rewind show, let me just back up and say that it is all about the history and the cultures in our Belizean community, from settlement right up to independence. And the message is brought across in theater, in terms of acting, in singing, in dancing, in poetry. And when we invite the schools to come and see it, it is a phenomenal reaction that you see in the young people. They want to be more involved in things like that. So the Belize Rewind show isn't going anywhere, because it's about the history of our country. It's about the cultures as we have come through the years. And in addition to that, we've spoken to principals about Live Lit. Live Lit is something we're bringing that will take third and fourth form literature books. And because they use the same literature books throughout the country in the curriculum, we will turn that into a stage performance and get the students on stage. So when you ask, are we looking at that? Absolutely. Because just like Festival of Arts that allows them to participate in those areas, poetry, song, dance, acting, and so on, that's what Live Lit will do. So within your school, you get to be a part of bringing literature to life and being assessed in the performing arts based on the end product of each school performing the story in that particular literature book. So in that way, we would be a part of developing the arts, similar to Festival of Arts with Live Lit.
Yeah,
Sandra,
go ahead.
with the chairman permit.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Every time I go to Bliss, and I am not necessarily the best sample, over the last 5 years, discounting COVID, I've probably gone 2 or 3 times, but every time I go, that's some Jamaican play going on. and so I'm just saying that maybe there are other theater stage performances where there are Belizeans, or maybe a mix with Belizeans and Jamaicans. So I wanted to challenge you. If you look at this Belizeutopia, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Bellytopia.
Bellytopia. Yeah. The actors and the producers. You didn't really tell us who Jankuno Production is. So if you could tell us who that is, one, and two, who are they at Bellytopia? Is it local talent, foreign talent, or
Okay.
is it a mix? Tell us, please.
Okay. All right. Well, Jankuno Productions, I had mentioned, was started in 2018 by myself and Julian Ellis Bradley. So we are the two founders, we are the two owners of Jankuno Productions. And Julian is the playwright, I am the producer. Our first production was very local, fully Belizean written, fully Belizean produced, and all the actors on stage, which was a lot. And we're going to be bringing that back. It was about 15 of us on stage, all Belizeans. It sounds like you didn't come to Belize Rewind, George, but we're going to bring you when we show it again. Secondly, we wrote and produced Cruffy Air, a whole lot of Cruffy on an airplane giving trouble. That was a hilarious comedy. And it had in, again, singing. Belizeans were singing on stage, dancing, fully Belizean performers. Judge, it sounds like you never come to Cruffy Air. And now here we are with a locally written script again in Bellytopia, Belize, utopic Belize. You know, a message of hope as to how Belize can be in the future and how we each can take our place, right? And again, if you look at the flyer, the two people in the front are the TikTok versions of myself and Mr. Delbert McKay, who is my husband. So he's in the play. All that silvery wisdom on that head in the front, that's my husband. He will be acting in Bellytopia. He plays the role of a father and husband. I play the role of the wife and mother. And Karim King is there in the picture as well on the flyer. He's fully Belizean. He was with us since Belize Rewind. A young and upcoming actor. Julian is on the other side of the silver hair man in the front with the long hair. At the back, Julian is the writer and director, been living in Belize for, I would venture to say, going on 12 to 15 years would be the guess I would hazard. So very much Belizean. And behind her, we have a fully Belizean person next to Karim King, the lighter skin. And that's Nur. And beside her is someone who is living and working in Belize, going on 2 years, but born Jamaican. So the majority are Belizeans in this performance as well. So when we write our local scripts, it's typically 95 to 100% Belizean actors, and Bellytopia is no different. So it is a local production in its entirety. Everything you will see up there occurred right here in our country, and we bring quality performance when we put off these productions. With Coffee Air, it was an airplane we built on stage, you know, and so you saw the airplane and everything, man fall out of the plane and all that. For those who came, the person thought they had gone overseas only to find out plane crash. It was so funny. And we dealt with some of the social issues even as we brought the fun, and we brought a message of hope in the midst of the laughter, so we can see how we can address social issues and how we can go forward positively to change our beliefs for the better. That
Sandra,
was the story in Cruffy Air.
Gregory was saying that we used to have Festival of Arts. Festival of Arts still goes on.
It still goes on. Festival
year,
of
right?
Arts was happening a few weeks ago.
Somebody was saying
in the Bliss.
Somebody was saying it did a lot for the confidence of Belizean children.
Yes.
That one time you couldn't get them to speak, especially into a microphone or not, and now you can't get them to shut up because they're
That's
on
right.
TikTok, they're all over the place, and they're more confident in public speaking and speaking out and whatnot. So I think you guys have done a lot in regards to that and building the confidence of our children, which was dearly needed. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Festival of Arts is happening every single year. Even in COVID, it was happening virtually in some instances. So that
Yeah.
has never died
It has
Yeah.
done a lot for the young people of Belize.
for the development of young people.
Indeed,
Absolutely.
their mental capacity and their ability to speak publicly and
Yes,
express themselves.
absolutely.
We look forward to Belitopia. I will certainly be there. And George, I don't want to hear no excuse from you this time.
Yes, George.
Joe, I know you're going to be there.
I mean, at the risk of being perfectly imperfect now,
Yes, that's right. And
I
that's the
would
beauty
like
about it.
I would
You
like to ask a question, but
Okay.
before I do, I want to make a statement that I believe that the arts, like sports, is the soul of a nation.
Yes.
But I strongly believe that the time has long come when our performers, whether in the performing arts or whether on the battlefield in sports, must begin to be given the opportunity to earn an income.
Yes,
And I say that earning an income is to make it an industry
yes,
in a country, just like it happens in countries like Jamaica, for example.
yes,
They get a tremendous amount of income through the performing arts and through their athletic development. So I believe strongly that the time has come when, once we want the amateurs to be around still, the truth about it is that we have to look at our people as being professionals, just like I thought I wanted to do in sports,
Yes.
yes.
to give our athletes and our performers the opportunity to earn a living from these talents and just not be seeing it as giving free.
Yes. I fully agree, Mr. Cowie, and it is one of our thrusts as well because before COVID, some people were heading there. Because we had the Belize Rewind show, and like I said, it's the history and culture of Belize, and it wasn't going anywhere. Our endeavor was to keep it running both in schools throughout the country and to the local audiences and tourists that visit. When a tourist comes to our shores, they want to know more about your culture, they want to know more about your history. And so we actually started Belize Rewind off as a dinner theater so they could
Yes.
sample our cuisine, our Belize cuisine, and see the culture and the history performed on stage and get to know more about this lovely Belize that they're visiting in that way. And our endeavor was to keep it going for the tourists as well as the cruise ship ones, as well as the overnight ones and the Belizean audience. COVID interrupted that, but we have not given up. Now, through even keeping it going for those audiences and the schools, we had persons on board our team that were making a meaningful enough income and heading, heading upwards as Jankono moved forward. So with the interruption, yes, we have a setback, but we are not giving up. We want it to be a meaningful and a meaningful income that people can do this for a living, because there were those who were with us who said, I don't want to be in an office. I don't want to be anywhere else. That's not where I'm happy. My gift is here. And then in bringing the workshops and so on, we were grooming them for that level of professionalism that they could take their rightful place and earn what they deserve to earn in choosing this as their profession. So we are trying to get back there. And that's why, like, inviting us on the show tonight is so appreciated, because it is exposing what we're doing, and hopefully more persons can even give us a call if they're interested in the arts, and those who come to support it. All of us would be part of making sure that it can become sustainable and a meaningful income for those involved. So you're quite right, Mr. Cowie, and that's exactly where Jankono Productions wants to go.
You have
We're
somebody.
getting there. The setback is a setup for come back even better, and with the support of the community, we can do it.
You have somebody interested, Sam Gentle, one of our regular on the show. First of all, I want to say hello to Delimaki, who he
Okay, Sammy
apparently
Gentle say hello
knows
to
as a
Delbert
childhood
McKay.
friend. He says he was in the Hood Time, a festival
Yes.
written by Evan Hyde, and he wants to know why can't the production present an updated version of this award-winning play. Maybe you guys
Hey.
can pull up some of these old plays.
Absolutely, we're going to look into
open
that.
up. So
Yes,
an excellent idea. Sandra, we want to thank you very much, girl, for coming on. It's
I
been a
can't
pleasure.
thank you enough.
We will look forward to that and future productions from Jankono Production.
Absolutely.
Well,
So-
best of luck, and we'll look forward to seeing a lot more of you. And visit us anytime. We're on the show here every Wednesday evening. Whenever you got something for promote and showcase, by all means, give us a call.
Thank you, and blessings upon you all. We'll see you next week, Friday and Saturday at the Bliss.
Just tell us the dates again for the shows.
Absolutely. Thank you. And so it's next Friday and Saturday, April 14th and 15th, both 7:30 p.m. shows at the Bliss. We do start punctually every time we do a Jankono production show. So the doors will close at 7:30 and the show will begin. We open doors at 7. So we ask the patrons to come early, get in early, be seated out of respect for the theater and the performers. And then the door closes. If you happen to have a situation and you run late, we are going to let you in through during the first blackout. But we don't want you to miss anything. So come early next Friday and Saturday, 14th and 15th of April, 7:30 p.m. Tickets are available at the Bliss or by calling 610-4282 or 654-8660. Thank you so much.
We'll see you at the Bliss. Good night.
See you at the Bliss. You're going to have a wonderful time.
Wonderful, Sandra. Take care. All right, guys. We go on now and continue with we wanted to talk a bit about we're going foreign. Who that? Anybody else hearing that?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's not coming. It's just annoyance.
Why? That the call for you?
No, hold on, George. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has it cleared up?
Yeah.
When they stop saying no.
I think it stopped.
All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, yeah, it might be a phone that was on buzzer. Yeah. Guys, it's already 8:30 actually. So we're only half hour to talk about other issues. The gorilla in the living room, of course. The indictments of past U.S. President. Wait again, Donald Trump, no?
Yes.
I don't want to forget him, but you can't forget him. He's on the news constantly. I wonder if we ever have a newscast without Trump's name being called. He obviously has been brought down to earth. I'm good to see the American system working where they're living up to the comments that nobody's above the law, that even though an ex-president can be charged, he is again, of course, in the front-running position for the next upcoming elections. What are the chances, you believe, of Donald Trump becoming president of the U.S. again? Any thoughts?
You can never count the Donald out just because there's so much going against him in this new run, I believe. But because he's now a known quantity, a known factor, and I think his negative will precede him. That doesn't mean he may not win the
convention, no?
The convention, the Republican convention, because it seems as though even though those there are some Republicans that's kind of bowing that they want to get in, they don't quite know how to attack him. They don't know how to
support him, man. They support that judge.
Yes, they are, and that's what I'm saying. They don't know how to kind of. They have not been able to isolate the politics and the morality from the person.
Yeah. He has. He got no trouble to attack them.
and so it creates a hard line because nobody wants to. The base of the party is the Donald Trump wing, and you need that to go into any convention, and win any of those type of nomination and stuff. So it's getting a tricky and dicey role for them to try to sort out. And so for that reason, I think he could win the nomination, but I think because of all the known factors, he would not be able to win an election. I don't think the money will be there to kind of the big money, that really wins elections. I don't think that sort of money, those type of people will be present to support him on this run.
But Gregory, the man raised one huge sum of money just for
He raised $8 million from local people, but that's not what it takes to win elections. You need hundreds of millions of dollars, and I don't see that coming from his base. So yeah, I think he could win money. I think he could raise money, and I think he'll continue to raise money. But I don't think in a general he would have the sort of. I think the last general election was well over $1 billion in terms of cost to run. It was well over $1 billion, and I don't think that type of money is available within his regular supporters, and I don't think the big money will come out this time. That's my opinion on it.
You started out by saying you can't count him out, and I'll tell you, I would have bet the farm that may win the last election. But I would have been sitting on the sidewalk now with my head in my hand now.
Yeah. Well, because he's you don't know where he'll go, and for some reason the American public that supports him is a in the past we used to say the moral majority and things like that, but there's an underlying majority that supports a lot of the policies that Donald Trump aspires. A lot of people, and sometimes it even crosses racial barriers.
Yeah.
I mean, in just thinking of white people, sometimes it's Hispanic people, because Donald Trump won heavily again in terms of Hispanic votes.
Even though all the things he said about them.
He did win that as a majority, and he did win white votes, and so it's kind of hard to that's why I said you can't count him out, because you don't know, unless somebody could marshal some real strong kind of opposition that kind of brings out the concerns of the other people that are part of this society.
Maybe George Santos, no? But really, seriously, could it be a disenchantment with the status quo as such, the way things are run in the U.S.? People are not really happy with the way things are, and let's face it, Trump presents an alternative, no?
Yeah. But I think a lot of it came through as false also. But yeah, people are disenchanted. People are concerned about their very personal well-being, their safety. I think I read some stuff that said the perception about public safety and crime is totally wrong. Crime had gone down. It went up a little bit during the COVID, and I don't know what really caused that. But in general, in statistical term, crime is way down in the United States historically. It had a little bump, but the way people speak of crime and stuff, it makes it seem front and center like crime is a real issue in the society.
But
and
it is.
It may not be. It may not be statistically.
I don't know.
There are some lots of crime in Chicago and some of the big cities. Gun violence and things like that. There is the concern about fentanyl and other drugs coming into the United States. But all those things are even the border crossing and those things are down. So it's kind of tough. The perception of what the Republican have able to do in terms of bringing some of these things front and center and in the mind of the American people. But the reality of it is that it's not so, and that it's hard to fight perception at times. It is very difficult, even with the best of statistics and hopes.
The interesting thing to me is that the man still has a lot of support. And the perception again is that maybe he doesn't, but you don't know, because when the polls are even say CNN and MSNBC are saying that he's leading by far in the polls.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, and I was reading that there's nothing in the U.S. Constitution that prevents a person from running for president even after he has been charged with crimes.
I think if you're charged with a felony, you're not able to. If you're convicted of a felony, if you're charged, that doesn't mean anything. If
Well,
you're
you know, the lawyers are going to push it well into the election season, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
they're going to keep whatever they need to do to make sure it doesn't come to court. And once it gets there, all he has to do is pardon himself.
Yeah.
So
No,
I mean,
it's tough. I just, as I said, can't count him out. Won't count him out. But the odds are greatly against him because I don't think the money that's needed to and I think he'll be embroiled in. Right now we have this indictment,
Correct.
34 counts. But I think there's like 3 more lined up that could.
yeah, the
could
Georgia
really
case.
exhaust him. That
The
could really
Georgia case
exhaust
that they have recordings of him asking them to find him some votes and
yeah.
And it's funny because when I heard Trump speak and say that it's election interference, I'm like, really, this guy is he serious? Because he didn't only interfere with the election, but he even tried to overturn the election with the January 6th stuff there, and they have that apparently on the back burner, about to move forward also against him. So there are quite a number of things that he's going to be looking at.
Yeah.
Joe, what is your take on that? How you see Donald Trump as a credible candidate, as a threat to once again come to as president?
Well, I would say that within his party, he remains the most popular candidate. As a matter of fact, before he was charged, there was, when Santos had come out at that victory on the guy from Florida, it was just a margin of 8 points lead that Trump had on him. But since then, he has widened the lead by 26 points. So it's telling you that the Republicans are more favored towards Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that he remains extremely popular within the base of his party.
The guy, Donald Santos, that the guy with dressed as a drag queen and
No.
up on the moon.
Sorry, what's his name?
And something.
The guy from Florida.
The governor of Florida.
Yeah.
Right. He was the one that seems to have been the closest to him now.
Yeah.
When he was him by 8 points.
DeSantis. That's DeSantis.
Yes.
Correct. What do you think, Judge? How you? I know you're a Trump fan, so. We don't want to tread.
And you're absolutely right, Mr. Chair. I was a Trump man before he ran for politics. But at the point that he took on a political persona, I have to revise my opinion. But we have to remember that Donald is the ultimate showman. And I believe that in relation to the legal troubles, there's a court of jurisprudence and there's a court of public opinion. And I believe that Donald has the ability and has demonstrated that he can sway the politics of the situation in his favor. And what I'm saying that obviously his base is with him now. But I believe that he can also sway independents and perhaps some Democrats into saying, you know what, this is prosecuting, this is an overreach, really. This is witch hunting. The only, and this is what he said, the only crime that I am guilty of is fighting for you. So whether or not somebody scripts these talking points or they come from his head is a different thing, but he has been a public figure, so I would not dismiss the fact that he's capable of coming up with these thoughts which are profound and which will strike a note with the electorate in relation to whether or not he has some chance of winning. Definitely the Republican nomination, I believe he will win unless there's some unforeseen circumstances that we don't know of and that we can't know of at this point. But I think there's a high probability that he will win the nomination for the Republicans. You have to watch, if that is so, then you have to watch who is it that he's going up against. I believe that if he goes up against, and I don't want to sound ageism because I'm getting old myself, I think that if he goes up against old man Joe Biden, who has become the butt of various jokes in terms of his mental state, you know, he can't remember things, he's stumbling over himself, he's kind of enfeebled. That is what is being pushed. I don't think that it's as bad as the media has bought into it or is perpetuating it. But I think that if he goes up against old Joe, and Joe has basically said, well, I haven't made up my mind yet whether or not I'll run. I think that if Joe runs, there's a good chance that Donald might become the president yet again.
Careful
I think
how
that
you speak up. Careful how you speak about old Joe.
Yeah, sorry. Well, obviously, I don't mean our colleague, and when I say old, I don't mean necessarily old chronologically. I mean old in terms of functionally. So
the man tumbled over the step going up the airplane, going up the airplane step. You ever see that?
yeah, he stumbled over himself. You know, there's a whole litany of things that they're showing. Man, this man is, you know, he probably should be thinking of retiring and retreating. But politics is like crack, you know, you never get enough of it. I think that the Dems are in a spot.
Speaking
because
from experience,
if Joe will not run, 2024 is not far away.
Yeah.
And so whoever slots into his place would need a certain lead time to make a national impact. So I think probably Donald has more than an even chance of prevailing, notwithstanding things that are unforeseen at this moment.
Mr. Chairman, I think you forget that I didn't finish. You had asked my opinion on him, but I only said to you that about the popularity and how he favored in his party, but I think there is some important points here that we are missing. This charge against Trump now is based on the falsification of records, which is what they call bookkeeping fraud, no? Which normally would have been misdemeanor.
right.
But they were able to raise it to felony. And therefore, the standard of proof has been raised also. With the felony case, as a criminal offense now, they will have to prove that the intent was there, that he did set out to the falsification of documents to conceal and commit crime. That to me is the first challenge that will be. If Trump, I think he has I would say a reasonable good chance, not being a legal-minded person, but looking at the facts, that he could very well overcome this one. But to me, what he's facing in terms of the January the 6th resurrection, in terms of the classified documents, and in terms of the Georgia one, I'm not sure whether he'll be able to overcome those. So I don't see him very, and I take the point that going up against Biden could in fact enhance him.
Yes.
But let's go back to the period quickly of Hillary Clinton. Clinton had lost that election mostly within those three Midwestern states. It was Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. That's where she really lost, which was to be the firewall for the Democrats. It's more hypothetical, but if it was known at the time that Trump was in fact involved in hush money being paid, we could ask ourselves, would that have changed the result of that election? Because that is one of the charges they will have to prove, that he acted in a way to affect the election. That was one of the things that they will have to prove, apart from the tax case and the campaign finance violation. So what I am seeing, I believe that the chances of Trump really getting back the presidency, I think, has been tremendously decreased. One that is need to be taken into account seriously, and I think Charles mentioned it, is who will be the candidate for the Democratic Party.
Yes.
We're missing something, though, I think, and it might be the mindset of the American people. Let me read this comment, Jeffrey Castillo. You're entitled to your own opinion, but this is just the tip of the iceberg for Donald Trump. I imagine he's talking about the other stuff that will be coming up. Donald Trump once made a statement that he could walk down Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and then I still vote for him.
Hello.
I don't know if the mindset of the American people is as such. I mean, over you talk about 50%. I wouldn't say over because he didn't win the popular vote, but over 50% of the American people voted for Donald Trump. You know, and I don't know if they don't still see him as an alternative to a very inadequate system of governance. There are people out there. Every time you got a rally, you see a crowd, they come out. I don't know. I am not ready to count him out now. I'm certainly not as ready as I was in the last election, because the American people are it's been considered a dumbing down, if you will, of the entire country, that they don't really even listen to anything anymore. They just want this person and going for it.
But Mr. Chairman, he said that he can walk down Pennsylvania Avenue and shoot somebody, and they would not do him anything.
Yeah.
The fact is, he didn't shoot anybody. So,
well, I'm happy he didn't.
But that talk was suggesting that he could commit a crime and he would get away. But he didn't commit a crime. No, they are very likely that he
just get anything.
Gregory, mute the mic for me, Greg. We'll hear you. Mute the mic, Greg. Gregory. Well, he not here. We know. All right, but yeah. Sorry about that, Joe. But go ahead. Somebody put that back up for me. But they're saying that Trump needs to go to jail. And that's the opinion there. Donald Trump needs to go to jail for domestic terrorism. He should be barred from running for office. He couldn't even do a transfer of power. Go ahead.
Remember, Mr. Chair, that what motivates people and gets people to the polls is not entirely based on logical choices. I think that a fair amount of the electorate are driven by emotions.
Yeah.
And I think that Trump, especially given that he's a kind of spin doctor, regardless of his narcissistic pathology and all of his misbehavior, kind of mocking the disabled and grabbing the fairer sex by some sensitive anatomy, all of those statements, people will still vote for him. And so I believe that, again, his chances are relative to whom he's running against. So all the logical things that, he's a criminal and he's been lying. There are actually, I believe, 34 charges being levied against him. One of them, and I think most people are focusing on this issue with this Ms. Stormy Daniels. But really, it is my understanding that him, either being a sitting president or prior to being a sitting president, if he did pay Ms. Daniels for sexual favors, it's not illegal. If somebody paid on his behalf for sexual favors, it's not illegal. What would be illegal is that he lied about it, because he basically said, of the lawyer that was representing him, that the money that I gave that lawyer was not to pay Ms. Daniels. It's really lawyer fee. But the lawyer is saying, no, not really so. He gave me to buy off Ms. Daniels. So in that case, I think it is Trump against this lawyer. But that might be the least of his problems. I believe that there are some financial crimes that are probably much more consequential. that he will find very difficult to weasel out legally. But politically, he never shuts up. Once you put a microphone in his face, he will spin it into something that is pro-Trump and pro the Republican base.
I
But it's
think.
not the, sorry to,
No, go ahead.
it is not the payment of the hush money. That's not what he's being charged for. He's being
Sorry?
It's not the payment of the hush money to the girl done. It's not that they are charging him for. What he's charged for is a felony bookkeeping fraud as a result of what he did. But it's not the hush money. What you said is true. If it was just a case of paying that hush money, that would have been the end.
For lying for lying in relation to that whole affair with Stormy Daniels. Is that a part of the charges?
No, the charges, I understand them. There were three main charges that they brought against him. One had to do with the tax evasion under the New York law. And then the other federal violations, one in campaign finance, which have to be at the federal level because he was running for president. And then the third one was illegally affecting the result of the election. And that was based on, he suppressed the information and he falsified the books so that that information was suppressed. In the fear that if it had come out, it could have altered the results of the election. And there is a law at the federal level that if what he did, it is believed that he could have done such, it is illegal under the federal law. So those are the three main charges that they brought against him as the basis for the 34 counts. So
Of course,
it's a felony bookkeeping fraud. That's what they call it.
of course, they're trying their best to discredit the credibility of this guy Cohen, no, the lawyer, because who is currently, I believe, still doing time in jail or just came out of jail or something, and that was convicted himself of other offenses. So I think Trump appeals to something in the psyche of the American people, and it kind of tough to put your hand pan, but I think there were kind of macho thing where many American males would want to be macho like that. That's why even the part of the grabbing the woman by the private part, they and I almost want my level of hypocrisy that we don't look at enough. But they basically want to be that kind of man who could go out there and say anything you want and get away with it. So they're play acting, if you will, their role in Trump. I wouldn't be so quick to rule him out right now, and we have to see how it plays out in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and you know, I also think, as you were kind of alluding to, or maybe not, that there's a bit of racism, and sometimes we can't nail it down as racism, but it's probably a loss of what white American is feeling, that they're diminishing presence in America. When I say that, I mean that you know, everything they now have to get, they have to compete against other people that they don't see as having rights and ownership to this country as they do. So I think that's what he appeals to in white America, and it is problematic because it is part racism, but it's not all racism. It is probably just a fair. What I want to say is that not everyone, I believe, that votes for him is a racist, but it is a fear among white people that there's a diminishing presence for them in the American society, and that's playing out itself in many ways.
Their superiority is not what it used to be, or is being challenged.
Well, I think what you said just now about fear is exactly what the behavioral scientists analyzed about it, that he was very good in creating fear. And after he created the fear, he come over as he will be the salvation and the savior for those who he created the fear in.
Yes.
And a large amount of the fear he created was to let the whites, particularly the whites in America, predominantly white, believing that they were losing their rights.
Yes.
And that Trump will be able now to save them from that.
Yes.
And that was where he had the upper hand over them.
Yes.
Yeah. Sam is saying that, first of all, it's a state case, and part of the charge is that they are saying he lied on his New York taxes. Now, funny thing, because I remember when America
I don't think they have found that there was any deception on the taxes.
no tax evasion and such.
Yeah. I think they never did file the taxes, but it doesn't have to be filed for it to be case. And I think they're looking at Cohen to see what he had done on his taxes, the way he had declared it on his taxes.
Yeah.
So I think one of the charges indeed based on the evasion of state tax. What happened is that the lawyer
Yes, evasion of state
one of
tax.
them is based on the evasion of state tax.
Yes.
Cohen is saying that the money he got was a reimbursement to him.
Yes,
That's what he's saying. But look at it this way, under tax law, every income to Cohen is supposed to be an expense to the person paying it.
Yes.
So what they were saying at the time that it was a legal expense. It was legal expense because he was paying Cohen for a service he provided to him.
Yes.
But the 130,000 was not a reimbursement. He was saying, listen, you go and do what you need to do to hush up this woman. That's a job I'm giving you. He went and he did what he thought he needed to do, and he billed them for it. So what he paid was not only the 130,000, he was also paid. A portion of it was to pay for what they calculated was the tax he was to pay on that money.
Yeah.
Because one thing
It was like $427,000 he was actually reimbursed.
He lied in his tax form. I'm reading here from somebody's comment. He lied in his assets that he has, so the banks could lend him money to buy
that's
more
different.
property. That's
Yeah,
called falsifying.
Yeah,
records.
that's not part of this charge. That's other.
Yeah, that's anyway.
No, it's part of the charge. It's what they call the felony bookkeeping fraud.
No.
That's 34, 34 conks, Gregory. There's a lot in there.
No. But what you just read was not part of this charge.
Oh, that one. No. I agree. That banking thing is different.
Yeah.
The tax fraud was because he was claiming it as a legal expense.
Yes.
Yeah. Fellas, we've come to that time. It's a pretty full moon out there. I don't know where it is in your neck of the woods. George, you want to say something before we end up?
Yeah. I was just going to say that going forward, in relation to Trump again, in ecology, in terms of behavioral ecology, we have two strategies. We're going to call the hawk strategy and the dove strategy. I think that America is headed both domestically as well as its relationship on the international scene, i.e., especially in relation to BRICS. They want a very hawkish president. And I don't think that Joe Biden cuts the kind of macho, resolute, confident leadership that I believe the country is headed towards. So I can see if it comes down to that contest between a Trump and a Biden, I can see Trump kind of winning. That is where I think the pulse is,
Excellent point. Americans are warmongers, They like that. They like somebody going out there and it's a sad situation.
Trump had promised not to get in any war, and when Trump was president, relationship with countries were much better.
Well, I think you have to look at that, because we have not been looking at that, because yes, and he was saying that maybe we should have better relations with Russia. He went and met with the guy over there in North Korea. Hello. We haven't heard from him lately, but I guess if you look at it, because that America first kind of a thing, many Americans can relate to that.
Just
and they might want that.
Like that.
So it's going to be interesting. It is. Let me end off with, though, I was watching a clip from a speech that Bush gave to his presidential library in Texas. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was
Tell me when you get off the freeway, and I'll walk out front to let you in.
Yeah, and he has his mic mute, but I hear it anyway. Bush was talking about a wholly unjustified invasion of Iraq, and then he said, "Oops, I mean Ukraine." That one, if you guys haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. but I want very interesting comment that he made that I really want slip that he laughed it off, but I think people are looking at it and comparing now Ukraine and Iraq, because certainly when you talk about wholly unjustified invasion, then we're looking at that both of them guilty of the same thing, no?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, but
yeah.
did you hear the one with Clinton?
No.
Clinton remember, Ukraine was the third largest power in the world when it comes to strategic nuclear weapons. Clinton was very instrumental in getting Ukraine and the promise that NATO and those countries would come to the defense of Ukraine. And he got Ukraine to surrender all his nuclear strategic weapons. He's saying now today he regrets it. He said because it was those weapons that served as a deterrent for Ukraine.
Interesting.
Well, but Ukraine would have never launched nuclear weapon at Russia, and Russia would not launch nuclear weapon at Ukraine, because they'll be destroying their own country.
That's right, but then it served as a deterrent. That's what Clinton is saying.
I don't think so.
I can't agree with him, because you're talking about strategic. These are strategic nuclear weapons. You can launch those, and you won't bring the kind of destruction like the nuclear weapons do. Those were strategic nuclear weapons.
Yeah, but I don't think it's gone to that kind of level.
It's an interesting discussion. Maybe we'll continue next week after we get some more facts on the matters and whatnot. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Good night.
Thank you very much, everybody. Joe, as usual, your contribution is much appreciated. George, you're kind of like a little simmer tonight. Maybe we should arrange for the internet problem every now and again to keep you in check.
I had some technical issues, but it was also, it put me in a mode where I had to listen more than talk.
I wish you all a very Merry Easter, and most of all, a redemptive opportunity for we, the perfect sinners.
Yes, man. Of course, being and this Lent thing, no, interesting, because I don't know if you guys saw the post. One of my kids had a terrible fall off a horse.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's he opened his eyes today, so and
the
MRI has not shown any brain damage as such. He ain't got a long road to recovery, of course, but at 14 years old, he's young and strong. Quite an incredible talent, man. This little boy is super good. Actually went to Colombia with the football team, and a sad thing, and it had me very, very concerned for a minute. I feel a little better, but thanks everybody for their prayers, no?
Yes.
And for well wishes. And I really hope this little boy get back up on his foot and have a normal life.
Okay.
So
we pray.
Yeah, man. Happy Easter, guys. Take care.
Happy Easter.
Enjoy yourself. I hope the hot cross bun works out well, and you can find some fish. Respect every time. See why? We're out of here.
Close many more, and it's a judge with the load. We run up into enough obstacles. Surprisingly,
Peace out.
we own people. Them just hate to see the dread. We say pinnacle, them a hope and pray. Say we stumble, but we burning both ends of the scandal. Daily routine, read the Bible. Despite the effort of the devil, we have to reach Judge's people. When one door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Judge's subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's a Judge with a love we heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Judge's subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's a Judge with a love. Me one brother try to stab me in my box. My girlfriend left me true, me never have no dollar in a socks. Best friend about the claim, they dread, they smoke. How the lyrics, where will they drop the walk? Big game hunters, them they set them trap. But will they pray to the Father non-stop? Help me keep the heathens back. Help me keep the heathens back. When right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love we heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love. Many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love we heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love. Me one brother try sister me in a me box. My girlfriend left me true, me never have no dollars in a stock. Best friend about the claim, they dread, they smoke. How the lyrics, where will they drop the walk? Big game hunters, them they set them trap. But we they pray to the Father non-stop. Help me keep the heathens back. Help me keep the heathens back. When one door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love we heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love. We run up into enough obstacles. Surprisingly, from we own people. Them just hate to see the dread. We say pinnacle, them a hope and pray. Say we stumble, but we burning both ends of the scandal. Daily routine, read the Bible. Despite the effort of the devil, we have to reach Jaja's steeple. When one door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love we heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love. Me one brother try to stab me in a me box. My girlfriend left me true, me never have no dollars in a stock. Best friend about the claim, they dread, they smoke. How the lyrics, where will they drop the walk? Big game hunters, them they set them trap. But we they pray to the Father non-stop. Help me keep the heathens back. Help me keep the heathens back. When one door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love we heart will never be broken. One door is closed, many more is open. To the right pan Jaja subway, Rasta no need no token. One door is closed, many more. And it's that Jaja with the love.